This is FNGR, and after completing 3 analysis daily contests, the last wrapping up on channel for no good reason, just because I know you guys can't stand anime, here's a link to that, by the way. I finally have an understanding of one thing: Equestria Daily's pain. I swore up and down that analysis would remain my primary focus. Or certainly at least one of them. As you can tell, I'm a little late, and while I got stitches on one of my fingers, my computer got infected with a random virus, I lost a paycheck. I had a doctor's appointment to put in and take out said stitches. I had a dentist appointment. I cracked a tooth, got a filling, found a girlfriend. Life happened, is the point I'm trying to get across here. But even past all those excuses, I managed to record 3 full videos this week for other channels, as well as I did audio and collabs for Toon Critic and Keyframe. To be fair, I haven't forgotten about analysis, I just haven't been fair with everyone else. At long last, I kinda get where Equestria Daily is coming from when handling analysis and review. Not to say I won't be commenting on that next week. Empathy and understanding aside, there are some potential serious complaints I would like to open up to public discussion. I may put that on the main channel, as no offense to you guys, this channel has a smaller audience, and quite frankly, I might need to be more blunt. And who knows, maybe shows some conduct that might be unbecoming of a gentleman. But enough of my self-righteousness, it's voting time! And if you don't know by now, you get 3 votes as follows: 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point, for 3 different analysts or reviewers. Please do not edit your posts or you will not be counted, so if you have a question about the voting, ask beforehand. The content creators must have made an analysis or review no older than 2 months from April 5th, 2016. This should be easy seeing as how late I am. That analysis or review must be audible. Again, you are allowed to vote for yourself, however if you're the only person voting for yourself, you're not likely to win. Next week or bust, I'm going to record Sapphire Heartsong's podcast, who won the second Analysis Daily competition. Again, I'm sorry, but I'm slowly losing my mind and trying to juggle every little thing. What I'm about to do next is a little scavy and possibly unfair. Geeky Stevens spent 6 months making the video I'm playing a small clip of.
Encrypted combines this with the well-thought-out arguments and viewpoints and no moronic contradictions, backpedaling, or cynicism directed to the viewer. You should be in the clear. Oh, and don't sound like a drunk.
And while there are several, if not all of the people I'm featuring on here deserve an equal shake, to know Geeky didn't get a feature for this work while some jerk just slapped a sock on his hand and ended up on top of a list kinda grinds my balls. I would encourage you all to go to Geeky Stevens' video. It's very well thought out, it's very intellectual, it's funny, it's humorous, it's amazing. Consider the above a small sample of that salt I mentioned that will be up on my main channel for no good reason next week. That is, unless of course I lose my hand or something. I love you guys and take care.
Character. Maybe more the fact of Dan Savino for writing Ghostbusters in a way that makes Trixie's ego the only thing that the episode wants to focus on. Now that we're in Season 6, there are some questions that the show could bring up and answer regarding Twilight's consistent growth as a character, to the point where you wonder if it's stifling everyone around her, or if she's becoming a Princess Celestia 2.0 while Starlight and Trixie aspire to be Twilight Sparkle 1.0. There's a lot to unpack there, and the episode keeps a perfect balancing act between Twilight's hesitance, Trixie's unfamiliarity with a friend that wants to be more than just 2 suck-ups, and Starlight's pickiness over wanting a genuine and true friend after messing up way too much in the first act. The themes of reputation and stress bring us back to 4 seasons earlier, where the mentor was the student. The dialogue and animation have been polished to a fine sheen, to the point where I'm willing to bet that Trixie and Twilight's smirk, Starlight's adorable smile, and basically the entirety of Trixie's appearances are going to be what sticks with us. As apt as it may be, the performer stays in your mind the most with an episode like this, and it's all the more clear with each accentuated line and pair of puppy dog eyes.
The entire idea behind Spike is experimenting in a trial and error process how to tackle these issues with his competence and coping with pressure. It wasn't until Equestria Games that Spike got any real answer to his problems. They exposed the problem from several angles, and all he learned was what not to do when he had tried to solve those situations. And even if they were all the same, Equestria Games gave him the final answer he needed, and Princess Spike is a byproduct of that.
I will openly admit that I was also in this trap. But just because they were the same formulas doesn't mean the episodes lack any new ideas. They can be taken in many different angles. Perhaps the biggest example people complain about with Spike's confidence formula was with Power Ponies. But it wasn't because of the formula that was the problem, rather how shoehorned it felt, provided how many times Spike was complaining. The more he complained, the more the episode was telling the viewers how much of a confidence issue he had. After a while, it does get arguably annoying. However, Equestria Games did a better job by having Spike be proactive than complaining. Made a mistake and felt bad for it? try to make up for the problem, which is what anyone would subconsciously do.
Continuity in this episode. We get to revisit Twilight's old home/library and pretty much see that it's been untouched since she was last here, finding the books she read about Nightmare Moon, Spike's present, and this is all kind of surreal to see since it has been, by the show's logic, 1 year since she moved to Ponyville. It's almost like opening a time capsule and finding things from a time long past. So now we fast forward to Twilight meeting back up with her old friends and apologizing for being such a bad friend to them, which they don't take too badly.
Now, this scene had me a little worried. Minuet, after watching this episode, is probably my favorite of Twilight's friends. However, she seemed a little too forgiving. The way she talked about her knowing the princess at work sounded like she had repressed feelings and wanted to take advantage of the Twilight princess thing. But the following luncheon swayed those fears as Twilight and her old friends, minus Lyra who's in Ponyville and Moondancer who's studying at the moment, bury the hatchet that really didn't need to be buried in hindsight.
Common mistake when approaching these comments is total misinterpretation, or as some might call it, idiocy. For example, look at this gentleman here. He just received a comment that states issues with his audio and how he could fix them.
Let's see who commented on the video!
Hey dude, I noticed that your voice is kinda monotone, so your jokes that require a lot of emotion don't really hit home. I'd recommend trying out a few more deadpan jokes as they would help complement your voice.
Do you think he's going to see this comment as A, a spam comment, B, a piece of constructive advice, or C, an attack?
Well, C, obviously.
Yes, you know how it is on the internet, Brian. Whether you're a content creator or a regular viewer, everyone has the tendency to be overly sensitive and defensive of what they make.
Why are people saying mean things about this video?
But no means no.
No means no, huh? Nobody's ever said that to me before.
The remaining 5 all assume that he is after the bits that Fluttershy owes him, so they all rush over to Fluttershy's cottage to protect her. Turns out, 2 things end up happening. 1, Fluttershy handles the situation herself. 2, Iron Will needs Fluttershy's help.
Say what?
And in what way can Fluttershy help? Well, he needs to be less assertive. Or, as he puts it, find his inner pony. Wait, is this going to be another villain gets reformed story? Well, to every pony's surprise, she agrees to help him.
Badly. Sure, it's impactful and shocking, but it throws everything this episode has been working towards out the window. You've been working so hard to show how Trixie has been nothing but kind to Starlight, and how Twilight is the one in the wrong for this entire episode. But now suddenly at the last minute you decide to flip it and make Trixie the wrongdoer? Not only that, but immediately after the emotional payoff, you try to backpedal on it and switch it again, leaving both Starlight and Trixie completely heartbroken. What is going on in your head, bro? This is a really horrible climax, and I'm going to have to take it into consideration when I rate this episode. Trixie then proceeds unenthusiastically with the Moonshot Manticore mouth dive, depressed and ready to accept death if she has to, as Starlight watches from a nearby hill. Twilight approaches Starlight and admits that she was wrong not to trust Starlight to make her own friends, and that she shouldn't try to pick and choose her friends for her. This is also a pretty good moral. I don't know how often of an occurrence this is between friends, but I know that this moral can certainly be applicable between kids and their parents.
Male dominant. Spike unfortunately seems to be the butt of a lot of jokes in the show, previously written as selfish or blatantly ignorant, being the choice for physical humor. Gauntlet of Fire was a nice example to show that Spike is not just a background character, but rather a key part of the group who hadn't been properly fleshed out because he seemed to only have 2 character traits: selfishness and his love for rarity. He's sympathetic, a well-meaning character who really just wants to make sure that everything goes okay and that everyone's happy. Even when given the opportunity to lead others and maybe grow some wings, Spike gives up his position as Dragon Lord to Princess Ember, who is also willing to let someone get what she originally wanted after Spike taught her the meaning of friendship. Speaking of Ember, I think she was a better representation of learning friendship than Gilda, though that may be due to the fact that Gilda was an example of regaining a friendship, rather than learning how to establish one in the first place.
The definition of an amendment is already implied, leaving us with this mutated metaphor of a title, making amends to fences.
I say, are you trying to be clever? Is that it? We're a bunch of clever clappers now? Right, where's my clever hat? Right, there we are. Clever hat, yes, here we are. Oh, very good. Clever. Oxford!
So, how's the episode?
Clever!
As the stalwart princess of Harmony finds herself compelled to fix a friendship she fouled up in the first episode of the entire series. Could this be my beloved continuity?
Whoa! I must protest, because my logic would never shush any pony. Not even in a library.
Your Highness, if you're not going to give away that illustrious townhouse loft, you could at least give Madame Catfancy there a low rent. No? She's still content to live in tumble Downton Abbey?
Wait. Twilight broke the front door, but no one's fixed anything else in the...
Featuring Trixie on top of Magic Duel, which by the way was the last appearance in the show. Since their human counterpart appeared in the Equestria Girls series, many fans including myself want to see the pony version of Trixie to return. And what a better way for her to coming back into MLP was seeing her making friends with Starlight Glimmer, with Twilight being caught in the middle of the conflict. Nick Coffoloni, who wrote Party Poops and Heartbreakers in Season 5, really exceeded my expectations here. I mean, this episode was full of comedy, character development, and emotional moments. Starlight making a new friend in Trixie was a fantastic conflict both for her and Twilight to learn each other from, as Starlight wanted to give her a second chance, whilst Twilight was still doubting of Trixie after she had forgiven her at the end of Magic Duel, which in my opinion was a bit quick. But this episode gave us the development of Trixie we wanted to see the entire series. She really wanted a friend, but after encountering Twilight and her friends for the first time back in Ghostbusters, as well as seeing Twilight's abilities, she was jealous of her, and she was distraught after Starlight tearfully ran away from her, after she purposely reveals that she was just using her to beat Twilight once again.
Driving charisma to whip everyone into gear and get it out. Some more well-known examples of this are like Dr. Wolf, Silver Quill, Golden Fox, people like that. Now, some of these guys have no problem occasionally throwing us plebeians a bone, but it wouldn't kill you to have a resume of sorts beforehand. Most people aren't willing to work with someone just out of the blue unless you're good friends with them. And people like Scorcher and potentially Silver often require that you're more well-established before you work with them. They want first-world luxury, not cheap Chinese plastic, if you catch my drift.
Which leads back to some of the former points made by Aeon, which is to have quality in your content. If you can't make up for good quality in a video editing or mic editing, then you can do so in art ability or animation. But should all else fail, have a good winning personality or acting ability, otherwise you may not get far. Showing proof on your channel that you can in fact hold your own in a review needs to be seen if you want to be taken seriously in a collaboration.